Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Alonso, Duralde. Episode 5 of The Knick, which is becoming must-watch Friday night television. Although we all watch it on
Sunday, yeah.
Because it feels like a Sunday show, of course. This is They Capture the Heat, the name of the episode, a reference to the tall buildings and the humidity. I'm not 100% sure that's why New York is humid. But nonetheless, it was a nice moment when Thackeray repeated what Dr. Edwards had told him.
Right.
Like a sign, more signs of
for a
Thackeray,
tiny bit of respect.
a little weakening of
Didn't last.
of his resolve. No, which didn't resolve.
Well, because then Barrow comes over and he hands the flask to Thackeray, who hands it back to him, and it's like,
yeah, but it's really Barrow who wouldn't offer it to.
Right, but it was still just that moment of like, all right, I'm leaving.
Right, but that said, they were sitting out there talking like
Sure.
it was Thackeray softening as we knew he would. It's Clivo, and you can be a dastardly character on television with a lot of flaws. You can't ultimately, in the end, be a Klan-member and expect to have the audience stay with you.
Yeah, I would hope. I did like just the look on his face when they've botched another cesarean.
Nice way to do it, like we think we're going to get it.
Yeah, all these reasons why it's going to work the time. They got the electric cauterization, and then
we just see the depressing aftermath.
Yeah.
We have a little clip from the show before we get into it fully. Here it is.
I don't think anybody could have done it faster. We did everything right.
that's the face.
That's the face. That's right. That's the scene, and her hands like that. I mean, it's just. And the frustrating part is that they get it. Like eventually they're going to get it, and once they get it, they're going to do it right almost
forever,
and almost every time. So as you mentioned, more indignities for Algernon Edwards,
who on the one hand is totally innovating hernia surgery, because again, another thing that people weren't living through were those operations, but he's figuring out the whole silver thread thing. But they have to turn off the lights and pretend they're not there when two people are making out in the alley, because heaven forbid somebody discovered that he's actually running a clinic in the basement, because that's all the hospital's letting him do.
Still, to me, the best scene between Dr. Edwards and Mr. Barrow there, that a couple episodes back.
Nothing.
But one of them is up to evil and one of them is up to good.
Sure,
but they both have to lie about it. A nice moment in that scene where they had to turn out the lights. Interesting that there was a lights out episode in both hospital shows, both Masters of Sex losing their power.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But this obviously a very different situation here where he has to turn out the lights, but I liked it that we come back and the nurses, after listening in on the beginnings of that sexual escapade, are all giggling.
Yeah, and he's like,
back to it. And he would have saved the other guy with the hernia too if he'd listened to instructions and hadn't gone back to work.
Sure.
Yeah. The saddest and most terrible development, the meningitis for the little baby.
Yes, well, which we were talking last week. Don't be touching rat guy and then put your fingers in your baby's mouth.
I missed the touch completely. I did get the finger in the mouth, but I missed the touch.
No, well, I saw that was the last thing he did at the hospital, and then he kind of goes like a splashy splash cold water in a basin thing, and then moves on. So that was they were pretty much telegraphing that.
I'm going to try to get through this and have some sense of what his name is, since every episode I cannot remember what that doctor's name is.
Oh yeah, Dr. Asshole. I never remembered either.
We keep calling him Dr. Asshole, but he's got to have a real name.
The tall one, you know him.
You know him. Anyway, I don't know.
So we also, the X-ray machine is unveiled in this episode, and I love how, we talk now about pharmaceutical reps and stuff, and their whole like sending doctors on golf vacations and all their other crap. But even then, they have like basically a magician's assistant, this woman coming out in like, a little sort of showgirl outfit to sort of behold, look, the X-ray machine,
Right, and but of course the smart people are on it. Like they recognize it, and you see the problem when you need money all the time. But the board members who we see in that, they're all like, "What is this bit of quackery?" But Thackeray, but Thackeray, not an accident that that's his name. He gets it right away. Instantly, he gets it.
Right, and obviously, this brings up the whole notion that the Knick is having to deal with the fact that all the smart money has moved
uptown.
And that's where all the new fancy hospitals are, and so they're either going to have to move, or they're going to have to do something to sort of attract a better class of paying patients.
There was that great speech about how the future is going to be the things that we don't see. Who gave that speech?
But the ineffable. Oh God, now I forget.
Because it was good. It was a nice, very sort of
it's the Neely's father when he's having dinner with Barrow.
It is?
When Barrow's pitching him on the whole X-ray thing, he talks about how the future is things that people can't see.
That people can't see. And just a great moment there of when Vanderbilt comes up to them. And so you see, you see the pressure that rich people put on other rich people.
Yeah.
Because Captain Robertson has to buy one for the Knick. Because
Right.
Vanderbilt's like, oh, I gave 2 to Columbia Presbyterian or whatever it is there, whatever the equivalent of that was then.
Right.
And then Barrow had just bragged about the great meal that he had at
Delmonico's.
And then Vanderbilt's like,
wouldn't be caught dead there.
no one goes to Delmonico's anymore. Rich people are such dicks. But really, I love that stuff. It was so good. Obviously, we're getting Thackeray's, continuing to get Thackeray's budding romance. And
Sure.
nothing says we're going to have sex than
Like bicycle riding?
than bike sharing.
Yeah. Now, but Bertie seems to be falling in love with her too. He's asking her
Bertie's
out
going to
and-
lose.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
she's
sure.
going to go for the bad. I mean, she literally knows everything that's
Yes,
wrong.
all
She
the
has
terrible-
injected cocaine into the veins of his penis.
Right.
Right? And she has seen him sort of washed out, hopeless
In an opium den, yeah.
Right. And she's still like, I think that Thackeray has potential.
I could fix him.
Right. And here's Bertie, like, dealing. I mean, my God, the one note I wrote down in this was like, how bad are fathers in all of these shows we love? There is not, I mean, it's almost impossible to find one. You don't watch it, but Eli Thompson in Boardwalk Empire is a functional father. But we're just covered with one wretched dad after another. And here's Bertie, who's kind of standing up to his days, doing his own thing. Everything about Bertie is good. He's the only one who's shown respect to Dr. Edwards in any way. And he's a great guy, and he's a surgeon. Everything about him is he's a catch.
He's a catch.
And
totally.
she's gonna take the guy.
The bad boy's always it's
there's a
irresistible
chance
catnip.
She might have to, because she can save him.
I will say you're behind on the strain. Ephraim Goodweather, God, I hate that name, is a pretty good dad.
Okay, he's a pretty good dad, but that show's set in 2014. I mean, every
Oh,
dad.
right, okay,
every
yes.
dad.
The vintage dads are
right,
terrible.
The vintage dads are.
Yeah,
just
William Masters, no
oh,
thanks.
yeah, I mean Don Draper. Come on. Yeah. So anyway, it just continues to be really good, and we still are wondering what's going to happen with the daughter, the hospital administrator, who's got her dad's vote.
The idea, the stuff with with the nun and Cleary, where
so
she's
good.
like, you're aiding and abetting, so you're in this too.
Yeah, I mean, and like again, like I love.
Now buy me a beer.
Right, the character rehabilitations are so good because already you like Cleary because even though he talks like a dick, like we know. Yeah, he's got the 60-40 split, but he doesn't totally disapprove, and he was moved by the death of that woman. He doesn't want to see that again. And here they are. They're actually buddied up.
Yeah.
Having a beer, And
she's already married to Jesus, but
Right. But that's the Sister Harriet.
Yes.
That's and other good relationships budding, like the administrator and Dr. Edwards, unless something has already happened between them, or maybe they're just friends.
Yeah, who knows?
Because, also, that may be foolish. There may be no romance there because they did essentially grow up in the same house and they're the same age.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
So
that might be weird.
That's probably, actually, now that I think about it, that's probably just a
They're
brother
just
and sister
intimate,
thing.
yeah. But mind you, when they call Dr. Edwards in because his mother isn't feeling well. They call in Edwards, or they call in Thackeray too, and he gets there first, and
Saves her.
pops
With
a cyst
with a belt.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But he was right. If she'd had appendicitis, she'd have a fever.
Right. And also we learned from at least some point a few years earlier with Dr. Christensen in the flashback that you died from appendicitis.
Oh yeah, no, that they've mentioned that.
So
appendicitis, hernia, and C-sections, all of which have been portrayed as just doom for this.
And he saves the guy. He saves the leg of the mobster. That scene I didn't love. The mobsters, the very affected mobsters, sort of outright menace. Like that struck me as a little. Again, they have, I thought, twice gone for jokes too broadly with the health inspector and his buffoonery around the educated elite, and then also to some extent here with the way that guy was like showing the gun and Barrow's reaction of like, well, all right. Like I'm like, hey. It's just saying someone's going to shoot you in the face if this guy dies or loses the leg is not a whoa moment.
Yeah, it's a little overdone, and then the scenes with where they bring in the cop who's going to be the new sort of like hua recruiter. That Danny Hoke is kind of pushing it a little. I did like the scene with the health inspector talking to the maid and how no nonsense she was about.
That was does Mr. So-and-so have someone to wipe
Wipe
his ass?
I would don't
Don't put
assume
it
he
past-
doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't presume he doesn't. That was good stuff. I love the Knick. Looking forward to Friday night.
And I am on board for the score. I've come
everybody-
around on that.
Everybody is talking about it. Who does the music?
It's Cliff Martinez, I think.
Yeah. And it's
at first I thought it was jarring and distracting, but it works. I get it. I see what they're doing with it, and it's totally great.
it turns out Steven Soderbergh's a good filmmaker.
Who knew?
Who knew? Everyone. Thanks.